Hello, and welcome back to Won't Be Forgetting That. My sincerest apologies first off for having a bit more of an intermission than I had planned. Unfortunately, I had a couple of gigs back to back, which were a little bit busier than I expected, but I am back. We have weekly episodes coming right back for all you beautiful perverts as well. However, it's a little bit different this time around. So we were releasing episodes every single Tuesday on your free-to-air feed right here where you are listening to just now. However, we have some Patreon episodes dropping weekly as well for the Patreon-only audience. And they are never-before-heard stories from past guests, and they are only available on the Patreon, which is patreon.com/won'tbeforgettingthatpod. And if you can go over there and support it, it's like $1 or $2 a month, which I know is very little, but it genuinely helps this podcast run, and I don't like to be that person to ask for it, but fuck, it's necessary. If you can go over there, subscribe, you'll be rewarded with 4 never heard before stories every single month. There'll be some early announcements. I'm going to start putting up some polls for some certain things on there as well. So if you can go over and support at patreon.com/won'tbeforgettingthatpod, it genuinely keeps this podcast running, and it is so goddamn appreciated. And just as I start asking for all of that as well, I'm going to also segue into saying that this episode was recorded at a beautiful little Airbnb that I was staying in for a gig I was away in Adelaide for. So the sound quality may or may not be the best in the world. It is a fantastic episode though with Jon Jero, as you will hear in 1 second, but I did just want to let you know that it does sound a little bit funky here and there. However, fantastic show, so shut up. No, I'm joking. Thank you all so much for supporting. And if you can, patreon.com/won'tbeforgettingthatpod. Enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments people have had whilst working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a couple of guests. They are comedians, clowns, and improvisers, Jon Jero.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you both so much for coming on the podcast to start off with. Maybe if we could go around the room and say our names so we can differentiate our name and our voices for the beautiful perverts listening at home.
Well, I'm the one with the deep voice. I'm Jon. Yeah.
And Jero is the one with the disgustingly high voice.
And I'm the one with the deep voice. I'm Jon. I'm Jero. You can tell the difference because one of our voices is better.
That's my voice. Yes. No, I'm sorry. I usually don't bring the guests on and instantly try and bully them. But I thought I'd try something different with the 75th episode.
Yeah.
I do usually like to start off the podcast as well with some compliments. Mm-hmm. I do want to obviously, of course, before the compliments, say if this does sound a bit weird, it is because we're recording in my Airbnb. We're all performing at Glen Elg Winter Festival just now. So if it sounds like we're recording in a tiny little kitchen with not enough microphones, maybe because we are.
Yeah. That's it.
But take away from that, we're going to go into the compliments. Now, at time of recording, I have not seen your show yet, but at time of release, I will have seen your show. So this is the first time I'm probably going to give a proactive compliment.
Great.
But I've heard a lot of very good things about your show Stuff, is it called? Yeah. The kid show currently on at Glen Elg Winter Festival. So if you're listening to it just now, it's probably about a month too late to go and see it, but I'm sure it's coming back at some point. But absolutely fantastic show, guys. I loved the bit where you set one of the audience members on fire. That bit where the tent fell down. Was that meant to happen?
Every show it happens.
Yes. But we might be cutting that bit out before you release it. So
Fuck. All right. Yeah. Well, if there's just an extended 5-minute beep here, you know why.
Yeah.
And also because one of the boys said something very problematic.
Which one?
Ooh, call in now. But yes, it feels like a really weird thing to give a proactive compliment. But I have heard amazing things about it as well.
Thank you.
And obviously you wouldn't be booked at such a prestigious festival if it wasn't a good show.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
You could record your review later and edit it in. And then me and Jero can just pretend that we've...
Jon, that sounds like a lot of work. As a person that works in the arts, I like to do the absolute bare minimum. So,
so I was going to say, we could be like, oh, thank you so much. And then you can just edit it in.
Recorded a bunch of different responses.
Yeah. Do you want to go now? We'll just get some clean takes.
Wow, that really hurts our feelings, what you just said.
Oh, wow. I never really saw it that way, but I appreciate that.
And one more, just if absolutely fucking hated the show. That was a joke, of course. Of course, everyone.
Us too.
Yeah. We you watched it. We live it.
That's totally fair. And I am performing right before you guys just now as well in Dinosaur Time Machine. So look, I get it, man. Kid shows, they're fun, they're great. But God, they're draining.
Oh, yeah.
So again, thank you genuinely so much we've just started our runs just now as well for the Glen Winter Festival. So you feeling all right just now? You haven't fully lost your mind yet?
Oh, no, we're all right.
I mean, I think I lost my mind before the run. And now
obviously,
he's got it back.
We're in the performance space. We're in the arts. We don't have a fully healthy mental space at the best of times.
Well, we were doing 2 shows in Melbourne and then drove to Adelaide from Melbourne right after that.
2 shows in a row, 8.5 hour drive.
That's awful. I'm so sorry to hear.
And then an 11 a.m. show the next day.
Yeah, got to bed at like 2:30 in the morning, and it was that weird feeling of like I closed my eyes, went to sleep, and then it felt like I immediately woke up and it was 8 o'clock. It was like. No time had passed.
You feel so rested. You feel like you want to be up on stage, sweating and screaming. Yeah,
it's perfect.
That's my performance anyway. It's mostly sweating and screaming for this one just now. Now, I usually have my go-to questions for a lot of people. Now, you're not the first clowns that we've had on the podcast, and that does sound like a derogatory thing as well, saying it out loud.
Clown.
Oh, fuck. I'm so sorry, guys. But... in a really professional manner, the first clowns. Yeah. And I'm always interested to ask, clowning is kind of putting yourself out there in a way that most people probably wouldn't feel comfortable doing anyway. So do you guys get like properly embarrassed by things anymore?
Jero doesn't. Jero doesn't get embarrassed.
I don't.
He has no shame.
Oh, right.
It's I mean, there's shame there, but I just
bury it deep down.
I don't. It's really, really interesting. There's a lot that I probably should be embarrassed about that happens around me and to me, but I don't clock it.
So we've got no stories from Jero today. And John, do you have anything as well?
Oh, yeah, plenty of shame.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, so we can balance that out.
Well, John just being around me. So many times in the street.
Just working with Jero.
I just look back and John's just like shaking his head, face palming me like, oh, Jero, you can't do that.
I think like flyering the kid shows sometimes... It's a lot easier when we're in our costume and we're being very silly. But then sometimes we're like... Because it's cold here in Thornell, we've got our like big jackets on and we're just sort of going, hey, we're doing a kid show just like to someone in the street. And usually it's great. Yeah. But sometimes it feels a bit...
Hey, kids.
Just who's this random man coming
you're both
up to me? Like,
6 foot and over, right?
That's the other thing.
So just 2 rugged up men just running towards children trying to hand them a piece of paper.
Especially in the jackets, we both look like the tall guy from Home Alone.
The thing is, I look very scary until... You hear me speak.
Yeah. And then very
John, would you like to see a kid show?
But yesterday I was like still eating my Subway sandwich and we're like walking and Jero's flying and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep my distance so I'm not just some dude eating a sandwich next to you.
So just some dude that's eating a sandwich 4 meters behind him. Yeah. Just walking around
with eye contact trained on that interaction.
Sauce dripping off like I'm a mess.
That's a really good show.
Did they take any flyers? Yeah.
Are they coming?
Yeah, all right.
Beautiful, guys. I find it so hard when you're flying as yourself. I think being yourself is the hardest thing to do. If you play a character, you're like, they fucking hate the character. If they don't take the flyer from you as a person, they're like, this is just rejection after rejection as well.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think if you and also like if you're flying and kind of doing a bit out of it, like they go to grab the flyer and you move your hand away. Yeah. It's a big one Jero likes to do. And like it's really good if you're in costume and like already very silly, but if you're just like a dude,
just in civvies, and a man just bullying a child. Like that stuff's brutal. Especially, have you guys done Edinburgh Fringe before as well? Yeah, beautiful. So I know you said you're heading there this year too. That Royal Mile flying experience will change a man.
I know.
I think it's nicer there though. I find it because I flyed for Dane Simpson when I was there.
What?
Yeah, just because I just needed some extra cash, and
You said Dane Simpson, and for whatever reason in my head I was like, Dane Cook? Sorry, Dane Simpson, of course, fantastic.
that would be the easiest
Australian
gig ever if Dane Cook was doing a show. Actually, yeah, he's a nice guy.
I promise he's funny. Dane Simpson, yes, my God.
I feel like it was the best flying experience I ever had in Edinburgh because people wanted flyers.
And not for you as well. I'm so much better at talking up other people.
Of course, yeah. Jero disagrees with that, though.
I love flyering is one of my favorite things about a festival. I love it.
Disgusting. I love my tiny Airbnb just now, Jero. That is horrible.
For me, it's
great to watch him work.
Really?
The craft.
As I said, no shame.
For me, I think it's when you're a clown and doing a clown show, it's always a bit easier to be a bit silly. Of course, in costume, it's a whole nother level.
Yep.
But I don't know. I love chatting to people. It's fun.
That helps, right?
I've always enjoyed that part of sales of of the chat, and that's really exciting. I don't know. I think sales is insidious as a industry generally. Sure. But yeah, when it's something that, you believe in, it's like, oh, this will be good for you. This, I genuinely believe you'll have a good time at this show. Other people love the show. It's gotten these accolades, whatever.
Yeah.
It's quite beautiful. What drives Jero's flying is he truly believes in his shows and that people need to see this.
How did you find that inside yourself? I've been looking at that for the past 36 years.
But yeah, he's got this beautiful, no, people need to see this.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
genuinely, that is such a nice thing to hear, and that is not what this podcast is about.
Well, that's the thing. The rest of us are it's my show. I find it was way easier. I think especially as an Australian, if you're flying another show, then suddenly you have full license to really talk up the show, talk about how amazing it is, and
exactly
you have to see it.
I think as well, I've had both sides of, especially the Edinburgh Fringe experience. I grew up near Edinburgh. I went to acting school in Edinburgh, so I've seen the people flyering their shows and then moved on to flyering my own shows on the Royal Mile as well. And for anyone that doesn't know as well, Edinburgh Fringe is the biggest fringe in the world, I think
biggest
it is.
Arts festival. 3,000 shows a day.
Yeah, insane. And the Royal Mile, one of the main strips in Edinburgh, the most touristy area, is just awash with desperate performers who have spent their life savings bringing their show over only to perform it in a shed in front of 3 people per night. And there's some incredibly talented people, and then there's some people like myself that's you want to come see a show? Oh, it's fine if you don't want. No, it's okay. Oh, you can just drop the flyer on the ground, it's fine, yeah. Thanks. And then you've got people doing proper acrobatics and people in entire costumes, and people are so excited. So it's such a weird spectrum. But also I'm mine's just a boring play about the plague. It's fine.
About the plague.
Remember the plague?
Genuinely did that in Edinburgh Fringe one year. Roses of Bean. Yeah, it's a great play.
Yeah.
Not what people go to the Fringe maybe to see, I would say. Good play. It did all right. It was fine. No, it was good. Why not? I'll try to talk myself up a little bit more.
There's a nice... I feel compared to I think Melbourne Comedy Festival flying is just a nightmare, because I think in Melbourne it's everyone's oh yeah, another thing is on. Who cares?
And also they're wait, comedy festival's on just now?
Yeah.
And then you're it's been on and advertised for months.
Yeah. Or they're already on their way to see one big name and they think that's it, or they don't realise that there's a whole lot.
I'm going to go see Tom Gleeson off the telly, and that is the only comedian I know.
To be fair, go see Tom Gleeson. He's great. I'll just do a little plug. Tom Gleeson.
Tom, if you are listening, please get us on Taskmaster. Yes, or Hard Quiz. Yeah,
hard.
There we go. We just scream into the microphone some more as well. Taskmaster.
I don't know. I think for me, Melbourne's not that, I don't know, growing up in Sydney and doing the Sydney festivals.
I've not heard many positive things about that one.
To put it in perspective, I think I'm one of 3 people that fly as Sydney Comedy Festival.
But it's way more chances of people taking a flyer then, or less, maybe.
I know a lot of people in Sydney, I don't know, people in Sydney are just sad, generally.
Or too good for you.
Yeah, they're too good.
They're already on their way home.
And they're not interested, and they just think you're Uber Eats or trying to get money off.
For sure.
Nah, man, it's something that you might enjoy. If anyone needs it, it's you.
Yeah, you sad man with an Uber Eats voucher in your hand now.
That's it.
But I felt when I fly in Edinburgh, I had the best conversations with people.
Yeah, right.
And like people were literally collecting flyers.
They're like, yeah, do me.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like, flyer for me. What have you got?
I think I went in with the wrong headspace in that case, because every time I was there and during the Fringe before I got into acting, I'd just be walking up and down the Royal Mile being like, fuck off, I'm just trying to get to work. Stop trying to hand me shit.
I think as you go.
So I was just like,
you like inside the mind of
inside the mind of the flyery, flyery. So I'm like, I just went in and was like, I'm just going to be annoying people. It's fine. I mean, you can come and see the show if you want, but it's going to be on regardless.
I have noticed a big difference between flyering the Royal Mile versus around George Square.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's where I flyed most, and it was great.
George Square is awesome. Around like the Underbelly kind of
that
section.
place is
you got
cool.
Underbelly, Gilded, Pleasance, and Assembly, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, people are rocking up and looking at the big signs of all the shows, and
they're there for it.
And I think the Royal Mile has got a big tourist element of people that are just in Edinburgh, not necessarily for the Fringe, because they're going up to the castle, and they're just there for the shops and stuff. So I think that's why it's just so chaotic around there.
That's actually fair enough. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Well, that's 15 years too late, that piece of advice.
Hot tip to anyone.
Hot tip, George Square.
Anyone, all the friends of the show that are going over this year, flyer George Square.
Yeah. No.
We've just George up our spot.
George Square sucks.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
You don't want to be there.
Go to flyer, I reckon, down in Leith Walk. Yeah. This is some very inside jokes for either people from Edinburgh or people that know the Edinburgh Fringe. Yeah. So we'll swiftly move on from jokes that are maybe a bit more broad spectrum.
Yes.
But I usually have questions I like to ask as well. But I know you guys did come in with some prepared stories, so maybe we can get into them. I maybe will ask if you leave your most salacious story to the end, so we keep all these beautiful perverts listening until then. But I don't know if you have specific groupings of stories you have. We've had a lot of burlesque performers or circus performers on before, so all the nudity stories usually get grouped together, all the actors, all the horrible audition stories get grouped together. But I don't know if you have specific groupings or if there's any way you want to tell them.
I don't know. There's just
I think it's a bit of just a mess of a few.
Yeah, let's just jump in then.
See what inspires.
What have we got?
I'll save that. There's a couple that we can save for the end.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
What's our first one then? And we've got a little list as well. I always love it when people come in with lists.
I mean, I've just got a couple of notes here. I did some work in like children's hospitals.
Wow.
And one time I did a puppet show for about 10 minutes to a kid that was blind.
Oh.
Yeah, that didn't feel great.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Right.
So we were there entertaining the kids and we're doing this fun little puppet show, and then the parent decided to about 10 minutes and be like, oh, sorry, he can't see. I'm like, oh, great.
So did they bring you, so obviously you're coming in working for the children, performing for the children and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like some programs that happen in the children's hospital.
They don't give you a heads up of maybe like vision impaired or hearing impaired or anything? You just go,
not always. No, you just kind of go in and just
10 minutes is so fucking long.
Yeah, it was wild. Like that. I mean, it was like
usually
interactions
someone says something
and the hellos and stuff. But the kid was kind of laughing and we were singing. Like we started singing some songs, and then we're doing like this finger puppet stuff. And it wasn't until about 10-minute mark of the interaction that.
Well, were you speaking as well like English? Because I know.
Yeah, it was
okay. Cool. Like a lot of old school puppet shows are just like. So just making weird noises to a blind child is. I mean, terrifying for a start.
Yeah,
but at least they could follow along with some sort of story.
Yeah, so that's I don't know. There's the first one.
Well, I mean that's brutal.
And I was
I'll be honest with you.
Boy.
But at least it was still a nice story. I mean, I'm always happy hearing stories where I'm like, nobody came away worse from it. It's awkward in the moment, and probably more so for yourself as well. But everyone else is like, that was just kind of funny. It's always the stories where I'm like, God, that is firstly, maybe a detriment to somebody's mental or physical health. Mm-hmm. Or where I'm like, why is this happening in our industry? Those are the stories where I personally love. But also I'm like, why does this keep happening? But these kind of stories, I'm like, the wholesome ones, I'm like, fuck, this is nice.
Okay, well, that's nice to start wholesome.
Yeah, this story was just a way for you to flex that you do that.
That I work with sick, was that work with sick children? I mean, I could go on.
No, Jared, please tell us all your charitable work that you do.
No, as in
just how good you are as a person.
There was one kid who I had Tourette's, and I didn't realize that what I was saying was triggering his Tourette's.
Oh, shit.
And that, like, I didn't realize for a little while. And that was, and when I realized, I was like, oh no. Because it was more of a physical tick that this kid had. So obviously, it was, there was a lot going on. So that wasn't, I felt really bad that day.
That one's slightly worse, I'll be honest. We're starting to slowly slip into the slightly worse.
You asked for it.
I'm sorry. No, let's keep it wholesome. Maybe we can have the first wholesome podcast in like a year and a half. Uh-huh. Yeah. But I mean, that is beautiful as well, actually being able to perform for those kids.
It is.
Less so when you're triggering their Tourette's
conditions and stuff and whatnot.
But the other stuff's beautiful, yeah.
No, it's good.
So I don't know if we have like separate stories as well. Do we do Jero one, Jon, and then
there is a shared story that I want to save for later on.
Oh yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Well, Jon, let's hear about all your failings in your career as well now. Then
well, before I started doing like more of my sketch character stuff, I started out doing stand up when I was like 21.
Yeah, right. Was that, so are you both from Melbourne? Oh, I'm sorry, Jero, you're
Sydney,
from Sydney.
I live in Melbourne now,
yeah. Cool. And you're from Melbourne as well? Yeah, cool.
Born and raised.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I had a few, like there's the classic like stand-up experience of like doing an open mic where it was like 40 people signed up and you're like in the fourth bracket and the audience is just the 3 comedians left after you.
I was going to say, we've had a few stand-up comedians on here before and that's, I mean, par for the course, either fortunately or unfortunately, because at least normal people aren't seeing you that way as well. Yeah. God forbid you invite your friends along.
That has also happened.
God forbid you invite your quote-unquote normal friends along who aren't in the arts or aren't in the industry. They have I don't want to say a regular person job, but like a stable job.
Stable job.
A good job.
Yeah. They have security.
They have a job. Yeah. And they come along and they're like, that's not, is this what you want to do as a career? And you're like,
just sit in this basement with 6 other people.
Yeah. And they meet the other open mic comedians. And God bless you, open mic comedians. Some of you go on to be successful and some of you go back to living in a bin.
I mean, it's amazing how sometimes you see guys get up and like, kill it in that like 4th hour where everyone like, because it's like, that's the thing, I was so tired and had watched so much awful comedy for like 3 hours and I finally got to get up and do 5 minutes to no one who, and I literally had to just stop and just go like, I'm tired too, guys. And just sort of went, you know what, I'm leaving. And I just got the hell out of there, just like ran out the door. That happened a couple of times, but like there was one where I got booked with like a uni, like I was doing commerce at uni and they were having like a cocktail ball for like the art society or something. Like, oh yeah, we want to have some comedy.
Like current students or?
Yeah. Like the student union like were running this thing and went, we want some comedy, and I knew one of the guys there, so they got me in there and I organized another comedian who was quite popular on the internet. Who I knew. So I brought him in.
Like a stand-up comedian as well? Or are we talking about like
Luke Kidgel.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Nice.
And it was sort of as he'd really gotten big on the internet and like I've been doing stand for like less than a year probably. So I just had my little 5-minute set that I did it.
A real spicy time in the old comedy career.
Yeah. And it was just like, also just like was stand up that I just thought I should do stand up this way. And I wasn't really good at it. So like it was all right.
What are we talking? Prop comedy? Did you come and dress as a character?
Bit of baby reindeer.
That's the thing. It's like, they're not quite baby reindeer, but just like very like me trying to do what I thought you're meant to do when you do stand up. Like just like, talk about like relatable things where I think I'm not really funny in that way, I guess.
I feel like a lot of people find their groove when they find their own individual thing.
Yeah,
and there's
exactly.
Like you got your Jerry Seinfelds and stuff, obviously. They're very talented, but like
there's just there's
not that many Jerry Seinfelds out there.
Well, like a big thing about me is I realize like I'm not a strong writer and it's more about like how I perform that's funny. Which is how I got more into clown and improv in the first place.
Yeah, nice. So it's baby reindeer then. Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, so I were doing this gig and Luke is like was already such a pro.
Yeah.
And so I went up first and the guy who announced me on like didn't do anything to like get everyone's attention.
This happens. I swear to God, this is like the 80th time that a comedian said this. Was it surprise comedy? Were people expecting comedy as well?
They had no idea that I was going to do comedy.
Fucking doing this to comedians. It's so insane.
It was so rough.
You're set up to fail, and then at the absolute best, people will maybe turn around to look at you.
Yeah.
And at absolute worst, you are just dying 1,000 deaths on stage.
Well, I was just up there and like sort of did a little trying to get everyone's attention kind of thing, but everyone was just chatting and talking,
of course,
doing their thing, and then like some people were like politely listening.
Oh,
but they're not really laughing. And it was just such a nightmare. And
were they all seated at least?
No, it was just standing, like cocktail kind of vibe.
No worse way to enjoy comedy.
They're all just talking.
That is the worst.
And it was just this tiny stage, like, and also no one was near the stage. There was 10 meters distance between where the stage was and where everyone was getting drinks and standing and talking.
That is not comedy. That's just like...
And like, so I did my set and just like finally went, and like I sort of tried to make some jokes about like, hello.
Just run down into the crowd.
Yeah. But then it just, completely, I just, got the hell off the stage. And then Luke got brought up. And then Luke just, at the moment he did it, I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Why didn't I do this? Luke fully did like all right, everyone, gather around. Come on, everyone, come on. And he brought everyone.
Oh, what a professional.
Yes.
Exactly.
I also love how he watched you do your part and he's like, I'm not going to go and help him.
Yeah. Fuck it. Like I think, to be fair, like when I came off, he was like, good effort, man. Like, that was rough. Like he was very kind about it, but also, I think he watched me and went, I think I need to like really rally them so I don't
do something.
have to deal with. I think I should do something. Unlike John, the whole crowd around and they like loved his. Wow. And then he and I like were just sitting together having a beer after, and everyone's coming up to Luke to go, oh man, that was so funny, you were so good. And then they like look at me and be like, oh, hey man,
hey man, do you know this guy? Like,
some of them didn't even see me. Like, it was so brutal.
That's brutal. That sucks. And I mean, first off, not really your job to wrangle people. Like, your job as a comedian, tell jokes.
Yeah.
Any organisers that are listening, people that organise events, tell people that comedy's about to happen. Bring them all together.
Hype it up.
Yeah, like sell it. People don't know it's going to happen 99% of the time at those kind of functions. And they, like all the time as well, people don't want comedy necessarily.
Yeah.
They just want to chat with their friends.
Well, that's the thing. It also just was weird for that event, really. Yeah. Like they should have just had like a band or a DJ or something.
Yeah.
I started out doing improv at the University of New South Wales.
Oh yeah.
And we're in this like little side bar in like the uni bar, like this side part of the uni bar. And it was a small stage and there were some pool tables. And every day, 1:00 on like a Wednesday or whatever, we do like an improv theatre sports show.
1:00 like PM?
PM, it was afternoon show. And like it was just rough. Like
I'm not surprised.
People performed like 5 people. There'd be more people on the stage. It's like an improv show than in the audience. And like it's character building, that's for sure. But there were days where people are just playing pool or just hanging out, and we're like, and I remember the host like going out with this mic because it wasn't even like wireless, it was like corded mic.
Oh, of course,
going through the pool tables, going like, hey, we need a location. Where would 2 people meet up? Like, what's
pool hall?
And the guy's just like, bro, I'm just playing pool. Or like sometimes the pool was too loud, so we're like, sorry, can you guys stop playing pool?
I was gonna say
we have to play a word at a time story.
Because silence is deafening, but it's even louder. A pool ball hitting another pool ball, and you're like, wow, that would be brutal. I mean, like what you said though, this stuff's character building.
Absolutely.
Unfortunate it needs to happen, but fuck, you find ways of working around it. And then also hopefully when you get further in your career, you're like, well, it was never as bad as that. You've got those stories now to define your career back.
That's it. You got the threshold, the benchmark is set.
Which again sucks that it has to happen. But when enough time has passed, you're like, this is funny now, I suppose. I mean, this is all this podcast is. It's just therapy.
It's great.
So you're just either like, that was funny. Or you're like, yeah, man, I just push that stuff down. It's a motivator now, maybe.
Or
people quit and they're the smart ones.
No, do what you love, no matter how much it hurts.
No, so some people need to hear this. You need to quit. Like, some people need to hear maybe I need to hear this. I think I needed to hear that at that gig.
Look at what you know.
Yeah, hey. Yeah. I'm a lot silly.
Yeah, you're in a kitchen doing a podcast.
And with a complete stranger you've never seen before and who is currently standing because there's not enough seats for all of us.
Leaning against the washer dryer.
I am. But got a dryer here. So
hey, well, I'm
doing all right. Yeah.
There's this thing popped into my head and I've just found it. You remember this, John?
Yeah.
So obviously Baby Reindeer's just come out.
Yeah, of course.
And as someone who does, clowning and a bit of prop adjacent comedy, a lot of people, are wondering, that don't know about Edinburgh, like, oh, Jero, is Edinburgh Fringe like that? Or what, comedy, trying to know a bit about it. And I matched with someone on Bumble, which is exciting. Yeah.
Oh, is this just a humble brag? Has this got anything to do with the arts?
Yeah. Let's talk about all these matches on Bumble.
Right. Well, if you are
one match, but
if you are in Melbourne, Edinburgh, Glenelg just now, obviously, but this isn't going to be at the time. Make sure you're setting that radius to Glenelg Beach, to Edinburgh Fringe, to Melbourne.
And then you too can send me a message like this.
Yes.
Hey, Jeremiah, your comedy kind of looks like that guy from Baby Reindeer, which is not a good sign. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. Is that real? Is that the opening thing?
That was her opening Bumble message.
I'm looking at this just now. I'm going to get that off you afterwards, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
That is fuck. That's the opening.
That was it. And I was like,
why match with you? Are they just negging you? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, it's just a hard neg. And I was just like, oh, well, yeah. Okay, if you say so. But also, at the end of the day, you don't want to be with someone that doesn't find you funny.
Exactly.
So,
and look, I've forgotten Baby Reindeer man's name. He's doing all right now.
Richard Gadd, yeah.
Richard Gadd, yeah, sorry. Thank you. Fellow Scot as well. But yeah, so you're like, maybe she's like, you're just not at the height of your career yet.
That's right. Well, she just doesn't get me.
She's just not funny. She doesn't actually get the arts.
Yeah, I know. Maybe me turning from a caterpillar to a butterfly is, it's beyond the realm.
I do love when you have to try and explain what you do to people that aren't maybe in the arts as well. It's always brutal. Or when people find you in the wild, quote unquote. Yeah. I work as a barista in between my jobs, so I just pick up random shifts in cafes. And I was working in a cafe one day, and a man just walked up to the coffee machine, and I swear to God, this doesn't work in an audio medium, but he was just standing this close to me, just staring at me, like honestly, like half a foot away. And he's like, Seb? And I was like, yeah, hey man. And he's like, I follow you on Instagram. You do stunts, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, cool. What are you doing here? And I was like, oh man. I don't really know how to explain this to you, but the arts in Australia is not the easiest job to get by on full time.
Dude, you just reminded me literally like last week, like sometimes I drive DoorDash.
Okay. Oh, yes. Yeah, this is great.
I can't believe I didn't
so good.
This is what I was saying this before the podcast as well. This stuff, we bring up all these horrible memories.
So humbling.
And I'm so thankful that you sharing this, but I'm so sorry that this happened to you. But yeah, please.
Literally like last week. Like every now and then just like, if it's a bit of a quiet week, I do a bit of DoorDash.
Yeah, of course. We all need to, right? Like it is what it is.
And I brought a pizza to this guy and he opened the door and he's like, oh my God, John Walpole.
Oh, really?
And I was like, hey. And he's like, turns out we had a few mutual friends and he does some improv, but he'd like come to my show and liked my comedy and was very like super kind.
Yeah.
But then he was like, but now you're here delivering pizza to me. That's crazy. And now you know where I live. Like, yeah.
Fuck, that's brutal.
Yeah, and I've just got like one AirPod in. I just when I do DoorDash, like I'm just like a zombie. Like
nobody makes eye contact with you.
Yeah. When they say leave it at my door, I'm like, yes, thank you. And to have it like open the door is like knows exactly who I am. Like loved your show and like,
hey everyone, it's Jon Walpole.
Is he just sticking his head out? He's like, are we on telly just now? Is this a thing?
But he knew a few things about me. Like, wow. And he was sort of like, oh, and you go from Melbourne. I was like, yeah, I go from Melbourne. He's like, yeah, I was just showing my friends like my Melbourne cousins, and like, wow, yeah, I loved your show, and like it was actually really nice.
That sort of stuff is quite wholesome. Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit embarrassing in the moment, I think.
Yeah, I think you're like more affected by it than he was.
Yeah,
no, he was super chill, like because like I said, he did improv and we had mutual friends.
Yeah,
and it turns out he actually. I filled in for him in like an improv.
Oh, cool.
With our mutual friend, and I was like, "Oh, you're that guy that I filled in for."
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
So it wasn't just like a random fan.
Yeah, just
so like he obviously. It's not like he was like, "Why are you doing this?" Like,
I thought you were
nice.
famous.
Yeah. But I just sort of left like that. It was a nice thing. Like, oh, nice to properly meet you. Like, yeah. But I also was like, dude, I wish I'd like run into them like just after I'd crushed on stage rather than like
like delivering a pizza
like 10 p.m. or something.
Yeah, when you're just presumably like you're not fully switched on, not looking your best maybe sometimes as well. You never want to meet people like that.
Just like this is in my tracksuit, like with my AirPod in my ear, like.
I'll tell one more story and we'll move on to some of your other prepared stories. But I was working at a coffee cart one day, and this guy came up to me and he's like, "Oh, are you off the telly?" And I was like, "Oh, I've been on a couple of little things." And he's like, "Oh, wow. What are you doing working here?" And I was like, "Oh, just making coffees just now." And then he went over to his group of friends. Oh. I saw him talking to them and then pointed over to me and everyone just looked around and was like, "Who? What?" And just the look of disappointment when people think that there's actually somebody important there and they have no fucking idea who you are.
Never mind, it's no one.
And I was like, I didn't say I was anyone. Oh, come on, guys. Jesus.
I've had a few instances, not that necessarily people like recognize me, but they hear that I do acting, and they're like, "Oh, what have you been on?"
Oh my god!
And that's that question. I'm like, mate, nothing that you would know.
Yeah, and
or else I probably wouldn't be here talking to you.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Right? I wouldn't be here making you fucking coffee at like a work corporate function.
That's
like
it.
If I was on anything good.
It's like, oh, what have you been? Have you done any? Oh, okay. And it's just like
you actually say some things. And you're like, do you watch so? I don't watch telly. And you're like,
well, then, why'd you ask the question?
You're going to see me on there.
Yeah.
Like, have you heard of this movie? No. Oh, nothing. You see me on nothing. How about that? Are you happy with that now?
In the background of a Samsung ad?
Yeah.
You like ads?
Yeah.
I've like definitely been on the other end of that where like I'm a huge fan of like someone who's because I'm just a massive comedy nerd and I'm just like Actually, I think I have a problem where I like everything and then I recommend shows and people go like, "I didn't like that show."
There's nothing worse than that. And you're like, "Oh, you didn't understand it. I can see it again."
I think for me, it's like I'm pretty easily amused, which actually makes it hard to write comedy. But yeah, there's all these people that like I've weirded out. But I'd be like, "Dude, you were like, that was such a good show. Like, I'm a big fan, you know?" And they're like,
Why did you like me?
I'm no one. Like, what is this? Yeah.
Also, every single person in the arts can accept a compliment as well. So every single time, I've had this after shows before, and they're like, "You're amazing," and I'm like, "Oh, you're just saying that to be polite, aren't you?" And you're like, "No, genuinely." Like, no, why come up to just annoy me? Like, not even annoy me, sorry, but just like to tell me something that's not true. Just like, but even if they are genuine compliments, I'm like, no, I'm a bad person.
Yeah,
I know.
It's like this. Like, I like meet someone or like I'm on the same lineup as someone. That I'm like, oh my god, they're such a big deal, but no one knows who they are. I'll like tell people like, "Oh, it's on the same lineup as blah blah blah," and they're like, "Who?"
Yeah, I know. That's the problem as well.
Very humbling.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I think as well though. I think sometimes it's easy for us to forget how a lot of, especially like people that have these like normal, lives. Yeah, they don't experience this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and sometimes we do a thing, and comparatively, it's not like a groundbreaking sketch or the theme or something that we're working with. But for these people, it's maybe like the first or second time they've seen it in this way.
And they go out to live shows once a year.
Yeah, and so
you got to like filter like how weird the show you recommend is, and like sort of go like, "Oh, how open are they to like the really weird clown stuff?" And
you got to pitch them like what is it, like a schedule? So it's like it just gets weirder and weirder as they go, and then they're ready for like.
So you start off with like your Jerry Seinfeld, and you get to the weirdest clown. What's that guy's name? He's doing his tour of England just now. Fuck, I can't remember his name. Very odd, out there kind of clown. And you're like, you finish on that. You don't start on that. Yeah, you finish on that. Yeah,
finish with like Natalie Palamides.
Yes. Oh, fantastic!
You watch that, and you just be like, what?
That's the thing that these.
You don't start with
so
Nat
big.
though.
Yeah. You gotta dip your toes in a bit of clown before that.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's so, you realize like, even like the biggest names, there are still people who haven't heard of them.
Of course.
Like, we were talking about Tom Gleeson before. Like, there'd be tons of people who've never heard of Tom Gleeson.
I did a day on set. I did a day on set with Liam Neeson a few months ago. I was driving a car, just making sure I didn't run him over. I think that's okay to say, actually. The film's not been released yet. Nah. That's right. Yeah, fine.
I mean, sorry. Breaking news: Liam Neeson was driving a car on a film set.
Oh God, he actually wasn't. He was standing next to it. I was driving the car.
You were driving. There was a car in a Liam Neeson movie. That's the takeaway.
He's in Cars 12, guys.
Cars 12. No, but he refused to be the voice of a car.
Yeah, he wanted to be the car.
He wanted to be superimposed as a human in the Cars world.
He's the one human person in the new Cars franchise. He's
like
just
a very
standing
strict
there.
thing in his contract.
Yeah, I don't think he understood the brief. But yeah, I was talking to someone and I was like, I was just making sure I didn't run over Liam Neeson. They're like, who? And I'm like, I don't even know where to begin to try. Like, what do you mean who? Everybody knows Taken. And they're like,
it's better skills.
Yeah. And they're like, nah.
What?
I know, right?
That's amazing.
And they're like, I don't watch films that much. I was like, yeah, but
He's got to do that.
Yeah. But they were a circus performer, so I think that says it all.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, moving on. I love circus performers as well. They're just too easy to shit on. No, far more talented human beings than I'll ever be. We'll get back to. Yes, sorry.
Can I ask? We can bleep this out.
Yep.
Was it Naked Gun?
Naked Gun?
That you were doing this?
No, is he in a new Naked Gun?
They're doing a remake of Naked Gun with Liam Neeson in it.
What?
Which I don't know how that's going to go.
Is he playing?
I think he's the main guy. Yeah.
Oh my God, what's his name?
Wait, is
Leslie
Nielsen. Yeah.
In the remake, and it's being directed by. I'm pretty sure it's being directed by Akiva from Lonely Island.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is
Liam Neeson playing Leslie Nielsen because they kind of have similar names.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Liam's Lee Nielsen.
Liam's Liamson?
Yeah. I just wondered maybe.
No, I wasn't that one.
Oh, good. You don't have to bleep it out then.
Yeah, cool.
No, cool.
So it's in.
Unless you've
It's public knowledge.
It is okay, cool.
Yeah.
I thought you just.
That's how I know.
Yeah. Wait, John, are you in the new Naked Gun film?
I wish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too, honestly. I'd take any film right now, honestly. So we'll start bringing this podcast towards an end. Do we have any of the shared stories that we wanted to tell, or any of some of the crazier stories as well?
One thing I wanted to bring up.
Yes.
And John thinks, I think you know what I'm about to say.
I know what you're going to bring up.
Oh, John does not look happy.
This is a shared experience. It was my first. So I'd been to Edinburgh a couple of times, just like gig and flyer and suss it out. And last year I did my show. I brought my solo show, MUSH, which I was really excited to do. I was doing it in the yurt at the Blunderbuss, the Blunder Gardens. And it was my second night, and I was so pumped. And you know, like you're there. It's all happening. And I'd gone in. I had I think Vigo was on before me, doing a work in progress kind of show. So that was wild, a lot of buzz around that. And he was packing up, and it was like, you know, it's two clowns kind of crossing over in a space. It's always going to be chaotic. I have 3 champagne glasses full of liquid in my show.
Okay.
Set them up on a little stool.
Very wobbly ones.
Yeah, very wobbly ones.
And you set them next to the tech desk.
Because that's...
Oh, God, come on.
Do you know where this is headed? I have my laptop out, and then...
Oh, no.
And then we set it all up, and then there was a microphone cable was pulled.
Yep.
I'm not going to say who pulled it.
The cable was like tangled underneath the stool.
Oh.
So then Jero...
so this is Final Destination.
Yeah.
So then Jero just gently lifted up the stool and was like, oh, John, just like pull that cable through. And I stupidly... So it was my bad.
Thank you.
It definitely was my bad. But then other people came and went like, why'd you set it next to the tech desk? And I was like, yeah, it's fine.
So we're just throwing blame back and forth, just like it's nobody's fault, it's everybody's fault.
I was trying to pull it, I was pulling it gently, and then I just thought, I'm home free, did like a big yank of the cord, and it just went knock, and like the liquid went everywhere, and also onto the laptop. The sound cues on
the QLab, which is very important for my kind of show, because there's sound effects.
Almost any show, but especially I suppose they're clowning shows. I
mean, I don't want to say I rely on QLab, but I like it. Anyway, so the liquid fell on it, and we're like, oh no, John got his beanie and was mopping up.
Oh no.
It was like sparkling apple juice.
Also because of the lighting, it didn't look that bad initially. I was like, it's a few drops. Okay. So I just like wiped it with my beanie, and I was like, And Jero was like, all good? I was like, yeah, I think I got it all. And then Jero peed. I was like, no, dude, it's drenched.
Like, dripping.
And so Jero's like holding it out and spinning around in a circle really
trying
fast.
To get that centrifugal force.
The keyboard.
Would you say it was sparkling apple juice?
Yeah.
So just like dousing everything in really sticky fluids.
Then it was fine. Then the computer was working.
The computer was great. And
Jero
hold on.
We filed the audience in.
No, because we filled it up again. We filled up the cups again.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Let's tell this part of the story, John.
We refilled the glasses.
And still next to the tech desk.
The front of house staff were helping us.
Yeah. They were phenomenal.
And we reset it. And then I think I knocked it over again.
Genuinely knocked it over again?
Yeah, just on the floor this time.
Oh, fucking God.
But then the lovely staff at the Blunderbuss were helping us. And then, the guy in the bar refilled it. Like, we were all running around like, oh, shit.
Of course.
And, the lovely bar guy like refilled it, then came through the door, and then the glasses wobbled off the tray and fell on the ground again.
So 3 separate incidents of spilling,
which led me really backed up the argument that the plastic, like really wobbly, like plastic champagne.
There's probably 3 liters of liquid at this stage.
Just everything was just
drenched the poor urine.
Yeah, but we got it set up. We were ready. The audience filed in,
and you were saying
waiting outside.
The laptop was running at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Entrance music's playing. Everyone's entering. Like,
and I'm like,
music.
Great, we're okay, we're in the clear. We're starting 5 minutes late, maybe 7 minutes late.
Not so bad.
Ready to go.
Work, in the show.
Most of the audience had come in, and then just suddenly
there was 20 people, 25 people. So it was like decent crowd.
Suddenly the computer just went
on the first cue, on the first it
was like
during the show.
No, we were pretty much about to start, and then the computer just went out, and it's like the biggest nightmare you can have as a tech is just like, okay, he's outside, doesn't know.
Yep.
I just heard silence. I was like, oh, that's weird. Oh, shit.
So then we're desperately trying to... Thankfully, I have my laptop.
Okay.
So I start pulling that out, and then it's like, I need internet to, like, get the queue.
Of course.
And then, like, there's no internet, and I'm trying to hotspot. And
but then the lovely people at the venue gave us their internet.
Yeah, which was like their private, like, secure internet, like, that they don't share.
It was an emergency.
So
meanwhile, I'm dressed as, like, an archbishop pope with a bubble gun in my hand outside this blunder, like, outside the yurt, just being like, what's going on? And then, who was there? I think it was It was Vigo or the 2 little dickheads first?
Both of them were there.
Who came in first?
The 2 little dickheads came in and brought in a phone.
That is the name of a show as well, just for people that don't know.
Yeah, dickheads.
I'm not being mean.
Yeah.
Shani and Dave. Very good friends of ours.
They're great comedy actor. And they were just hanging out, and they could see how stressed I was. So I think they jumped in and
they brought in a phone and started playing music on it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They were doing that for like 5. They were like, Jerry, do you want us to go in? I was like, yes. Vigo was in the back and he was getting changed. And then Vigo was like, do you want me to like do something? I was like, yeah, you jump in as well. So I had Britain's Got Talent winner Vigo Van, also a good friend of ours, opening for me, which was really exciting.
He just went in and did like a big dance party with the audience and got them like up on their feet.
Wow.
And I had no idea. I just heard laughing. I was like, Vigo's in there, 2 little dickheads are in there. Friends like the clown connection is working.
Standing at the front with my laptop, just like trying to get it
going. And then like John finally gets back in there. Meanwhile, what we don't realize is John, in that download of the QLab, has used up all the data. So their point of sale system like stopped where they had to buy more data or something.
Oh my God.
You didn't know that part?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So they had like the sale, like the FPOS or whatever it was down.
I mean, I did have Netflix going.
I might as well download something later.
I was like video calling my girlfriend.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And then, I was there waiting outside because I entered through the audience. So I'm like waiting outside. Yeah. And then some people kind of like, what's going on in there? And I was like, yeah, my show's about to start. And they were like, is that Vigo? Because obviously people in the UK know him. And I'm like, yeah, that's Vigo. It was like,
so I got Jero a full house.
It was great.
Yeah, nice.
And I was like, yeah, Vigo's opening for me. Like,
oh my God, it must be amazing.
Like, you then went on to doing like one of your best shows you'd done.
Oh,
like,
really?
It was like a killer show after.
It was. We cut 10 minutes from the show, which is, and that is now permanently cut from the show.
Wow.
But it I was seeing it like, I've totally thrown him off. This is a nightmare. Like, but then the show went great. It was like a really good show.
It sounds so fucking stressful.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
It kind of worked out really well. Sucks about the laptop. Was that your laptop?
So that was my laptop.
Yeah,
so
right.
I was spinning around afterwards, like in that little underpass. As fast as I could, again, trying to get it out, and like people looking at me, and it was...
That's Fringe. That's pretty normal, to be honest with you.
You know what? It's the Fringe Festival. Yeah. And then my wallet got stolen 2 days later from a change room when I was performing a kids' show at Assembly. But
oh my God, that sucks.
So that was a wild week.
It was so weird though, because like I was heading to Edinburgh, like just kind of more of a chill thing, like just checking it out, doing some gigs, doing some flyering, and I was in like a little lineup show in the afternoon.
Yeah, nice.
So, but people talk about Edinburgh like, oh, everyone that goes to Edinburgh, like, will cry. You will cry at least once. And I was like, well, I'm not going to cry because I'm having a pretty chill time. I fully, like, had a breakdown. Like, so bad. And, like, it was like, it turns out no matter what you do in Edinburgh, you will cry at some point. Yeah. It was
that fucking sucks.
So it was like, after Jero was like, I just need a minute just to, like, sit by myself, like, to wind down from that. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll just go sit.
Because, again, I think it's the same with the flyering. Like, you can talk people up so much, but if you fuck up someone else's show as well, like, there's nothing. If you fuck up your own show, like, that sucks. But if you do it to someone else's, that's brutal. I feel so bad for you.
He's worse than I did.
So, like, Jero had done a lot for me on that. Well, continues and always does a lot for me, and had, helped me find a calm.
Yep.
Like, got me all these gigs. Like, really made me like come into Edinburgh. Like. And got me the flying gigs as well, and let me take his show, like helped me basically be able to afford to be there.
Yeah.
And like did all this stuff for me, and then like second or third show of the run.
Was that the third show?
The second.
A second.
Was the second. Yeah. I definitely remember that.
Oh, it was just like, I just like went down the lane and was sitting outside like the museum. Like big steps.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
Sitting there like head in my hands for like
locals just walking by like Fringe.
Yeah. It's
giving him money.
It's another artist. Like, but then Jerry like texted me like, "Oh, where are you?" I was just like, "I'm just sitting on the steps, man." Like, I don't know. Yeah,
that sucks.
We had good hours, all good, but I just felt so bad. It was just like, it's
great.
That's like, and I mean, like everything worked out as well by the sounds of things, but actually having to go through that fucking sucks.
Yeah, it was just like,
did your laptop come back to life?
Oh no, God, no. Absolutely not. But like, it was just like a festival QLab laptop, so
it's not like it had all his stuff on it.
No, it was only like $400.
Should have left it.
I say only $400, but
I know what you mean. It could have been way worse.
It could have been, because it's a Mac running QLab. It could have been, a $2,000.
Yeah. Should have left it in the assembly change rooms and just claimed it back on travel insurance when somebody steals it.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
Next time.
We'll cut that from the podcast.
Yeah, so I cut that part. I mean, don't do that. Yeah, there we go.
I don't know how it worked, because my excess on my travel insurance was like $200.
Oh,
for a $400 laptop.
What if you got the wallet and the laptop? Just put other things you're trying to offload in there as well.
That's it.
Yeah.
Take it all. Go on.
Please, guys. You take so much from us anyway.
That's it.
But thank you both so much for coming on the podcast. Genuinely appreciate you sharing the stories as well.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, at time of release, your show during Glenelg Winter Festival will be over stuff. I presume it's coming back at some point, though. It seems to be a pretty popular show.
Yeah, we're doing it in October for the Melbourne Fringe Festival.
School holidays. First week of October.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that.
This will all be the dates and links to the show will be in the show notes as well. So please scroll down there and click on that.
And then we've got our solo shows as well in the Melbourne Fringe.
Yes, I'm doing my show Butterfly. I think it's in the second week of Melbourne Fringe.
Yeah, perfect.
House.
And I'll be doing my show When I Grow Up, improvised clown show in the second week at the Fringe Hub.
Oh,
which is exciting.
Fuck yeah. And you're both back to Edinburgh this year as well, Edinburgh Fringe?
No, just me.
Just yourself.
Yeah, after that incident, I
can't show his face. I wouldn't allow it.
Like, I would bring you over, but I'm a little scared to bring you over, John. Sorry.
On the other side of the planet where he does his show.
Remote tech.
Yeah.
Sorry, so Jerry, yes, you're back over to Edinburgh Fringe.
I'll be back there with MUSH doing a full run at Underbelly Cowgate. 10 past 5.
That's such a sick venue.
In the evening. I'm very excited. In the Iron Belly.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it'd be nuts.
So if people want to keep up to date on all your shows as well, where can people find you on the socials?
We're on Insta. We've got our own Instagrams, and then I join Instagram for our kids shows as well.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll start. John, what's your Instagram?
It's John Walpole _. Some dude named Jon Jero.
Oh, I was waiting for something after the underscore there.
There's nothing.
Yes.
I just chucked it on the end there.
This will all be in the show notes as well, because I'm terrible at actually looking up people on Instagram too.
John Walpole _, and I'm just John Walpole. I took it. I got it. No, I'm Jeremiah.Detto.
Revenge for the laptop.
Yeah.
Jeremiah.Detto on Instagram.
And then Jon Jero.
Jon Jero. Yeah.
For the kids show. Yeah, that's beautiful. Do you have anything else you want to spruik at the time as well?
Yeah, we're doing Geelong Comedy Festival.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, if you know people in Geelong, if you're in Geelong, come check it out. Geelong Comedy Festival.
Early November.
2nd and 3rd of November.
Hell yeah. Again, all of this will be in the show notes as well, because I'm great at being like, I'll come and see this stuff, and I'm like, I don't know where they said this in the podcast, so it'll all be in the show notes. For myself, Seb Muirhead on Instagram and YouTube. Won't be creating that pod as well on the socials. I was a little bit late at spruiking this, but I was on an ABC TV show called The Art Of, which is currently at time of recording a couple of weeks old. So at time of release, it's going to be even older, but it'll be on ABC iView. I might link that there as well. Apart from that, I have a film coming out later in the year in the cinemas as well, Ancestry Road. The trailer for that's also in the show notes. So check that out. I'll keep you updated when it's actually out. But thank you both. So sorry. I know that sounded boring. It looks like a good film. If you want to come see it, whatever. I don't know.
That's it. He's like, whoa, all right. That sounds. I'm gonna check it out.
I'm trying to neg people now. I saw it worked on Bumble, so
that's it.
Yeah, if you're a fucking idiot, come and see it. So I'm joking. Cut that part. But thank you both so much for coming on as well.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.